Hello, everybody. This is Jeanette here. I'm just checking out the mics before we get started here in about 5 minutes. You should see a blue circle. If you see that, can you let me know along with that welcome bar there? Welcome. Where are you from? Tell us in the chat. It should say across the top. Hello, hello. Well, hello, Marcy. I just saw you have no snow. We are supposed to get about 6 inches here in the next couple hours. So I believe I'm going to get a little break, a little day off, a little snow. So, yeah, that's quite a bit. Hello, hello. All right, let's see. Hello, hello. Can you hear me now? All right. There we go. Hello, hello. I hope everybody can hear me. We are just getting ready to get started. We have about 5 minutes to go. And I'm just wondering if you guys can hear me before we get started. Hello, hello. Oh, Dawn had a snow day. That is fabulous. So I am hopeful you guys are starting to be able to hear me. But I'm not seeing any replies, so I'm a little worried that you might not. Let's see. It's saying on my end you can hear me. Hello, hello. Can you hear me now? Oh, great, Dawn. Thank you so much. If you have, well, I guess I'm talking to the folks who've hit play. Hit the play button. All right, so we're going to get started in just a couple minutes. I'm going to go give, the video is saying restricted. Thank you, Tracy. Dawn, were you able? Great. Okay. Just heard from Marcy too. So that's wonderful. You will notice that there is probably, depending on the strain on the internet, which we kind of have a winter storm here going, that there's usually about a 3-minute delay, which sounds so short, but is really, really long. So I'm wondering if anyone else is seeing the welcome bar here. So as we go through here, you'll notice that the page, and there is a little bit of a delay. So if you ever have a question, please don't wait for me to ask for questions, because then sometimes I by the time you ask it, it feels late and out of sync. So if you ever run into a question, or if you'd like me to repeat something, because I know working with technology can be a little bit tricky, that is okay. So what I'm wondering about, if I go ahead and switch this just so that we can make sure everybody can see it. Oops, let's go back one. No. There we go. All right. So I'm seeing it's a little bit slower tonight. Perfect, Dawn. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm wondering why Tracy is having so many problems. Let's see. Sometimes if you are in a school, it could be because it runs through YouTube, it could be a problem. So this is automatically saved. Frustrating for Tracy, I'm sure. Thank you, Mariana. I really appreciate you trying to help her out. I'm wondering if the restricted is through her school, though, not anything that I can fix here if everybody else can see it and she's the only one who cannot. So let's see. Just saying restricted. I'm trying to think if there's any other reasons that would happen. Let's see. Well, let me go give my, well, it's 8 o'clock already. Great. Okay, so why don't, I am not sure why that would be. Let's see if we can help her out real quick before we get started. I know a couple people, had a couple people email me that they are in Hawaii and they are not done with school yet, or they were just going to be getting done with school. So that would mess with it. Yep. Mariana's, are you the one they go to, I wonder, in your school for all the tech problems? Because it's kind of like I unplug it and plug it back in. I'm that kind of person here. So as we're playing with the technology there, I see that most people, their videos are working. Tracy, I'm so sorry that it's not working. We will I am recording this because it is done through Google Hangouts, and so it is recorded automatically through YouTube. And so I'm really, that kind of makes me feel better if we do run into techie issues, at least I know that it's being recorded and I can edit it and break it up for people if they just missed a part of it. But let's go ahead and get started. And if I think of another way that she can get in, we'll take a pause. So let's go ahead and get started. Tonight, you're going to learn the 3 subfolders you must have to simplify your life. And I'm I just think this is so wonderful. And using some sort of naming structure for all your files will save you a ton of time. Oh, hello, Habib. How to share files and resources with parents and students. This is probably from what I've been told from, this is what I have been told from some folks is huge, because as many parents are not comfortable with not using a textbook. So having a common place to share files and resources is huge. And I have a couple of different resources that I think you're going to love tonight. And then where and how to save websites that you find online. So when you're browsing, you are going to run into those awesome things that you're going to see, you're going to want to try with your students. And I'm going to show you a couple. One really good, my very favorite way to save anything. So how tonight's training will work is, obviously we've got our chat box over here, and I just love how involved everybody is in helping each other right off the bat, and I appreciate that. If you guys want to jump in and answer each other's questions, I'll definitely be watching there, and I love the interaction. So if you've ever been to one of the previous trainings, this chat box used to be below, and it was kind of like you either got to see what was going on or you got to chat, but you couldn't do both. So we figured out a way to fix that up. If you have not yet hit play, go ahead and hit play here. This is just a screenshot from earlier, about an hour ago. But feel free to go into this chat box. You do have to log in with some sort of either Google Plus. This is called Chatwing, is the chat box that I use, because it keeps our stuff off of a main chat box. So we shouldn't get crawlers or people like that, but I can block somebody if they were to come in and try to say something not very nice. Or you could use Facebook to log in, and we would just love to have you in the chat today. So first of all, I have to say that I started Algebra and Teachers to get myself organized and then to find balance. And what I've learned through creating this website is I love to help teachers create balance in their classrooms. And because there's a difference between working in your classroom and on your classroom. And so I like to say in your classroom is that one-on-one time you have with students, that direct teaching, that enjoying students. And on your classroom would be the grading, lesson plan generation, evaluation, collecting artifacts seems to be the word nowadays. And so when we're working in our classrooms with the students, that's the main goal. And I think that's why we got into teaching. And when I see teachers who are frustrated, it's usually because this is out of balance. They don't have a balance of having that reward of having a really great lesson and also working with the students. And so I really enjoy on this website that I can help you to create that balance. And so that's really the big goal today, is to save time with all these resources so that we can spend more time with the students, not preparing to greet the students. So at the end, I have a downloadable checklist with all the resources from the training listed here for your reference. So please don't feel like you need to be writing notes or bookmarking things, although if you want to, you're certainly welcome to. But I do want to make sure that you have a checklist at the end, and it'll be just a one-page, easy to use checklist that'll be ready for you. I accidentally clicked something here, so I just want to make sure I've got my chat box back open. All right, there we go. So at the end, just remind me to put that in there, and I will make sure that you get the link to that. It's already loaded onto the website. So I made a little bit.ly for you, and we'll make sure that you've got it at the end of the webinar. So I was that kid that could be taught teaching the stuffed animals, the Cabbage Patch dolls, and even the dog when it would sit still. My mom worked afternoons, so we had all sorts of babysitters that had young children, and I was always caught teaching them as well. And I always was setting up school, and I loved teaching. My first couple years of being in the classroom were absolutely the best. It was everything I dreamed of, and I just loved it. I had that good balance of working in my classroom and on my classroom, and it was just such a great time. And then I don't know about you, it seems like in these last couple of years, the balance has gotten all out of whack, and I got overwhelmed. The books were pulled away, so we had no more textbooks in our school. We had new computers, and it felt like we had so many more resources, but nothing was organized. So we had all these different resources. We had computers and lesson plans and all of these things, but really no organization to it. And so that's where I started. That's why I started the website almost 4 years ago, was just because I wanted to have some sort of organization. Like every time I found something, I just put it on the website in some sort of organized way. So yeah, if you're overwhelmed, I completely get it. In that same amount of time, I had a baby, adopted 4 more, and had another one 19 months later. So I was really, really overwhelmed and being pulled in so many directions. So my biggest moment was through this journey. I collected all these great lessons. I had all these online resources and files, and all of a sudden my students started to get it. And it was really clicking into place. And I felt like I was kind of back into those first couple years of teaching again, where I really, really enjoyed it. And what I did was I really started organizing my lessons using a couple of these free resources that are out there for anybody, not necessarily just for teachers, although teachers definitely benefit from them, but really just these resources that I would learn one at a time, and I would encourage you to do the same, one at a time, and I learned it really, really well and used it all the way. And what I found out, and I remember I started doing all these activities with my students and really cool activities, but I remember sitting down with my principal and I'm like, I'm worried they're not getting like the plug and chug practice. And she said, I look at your classroom and the kids are so engaged, they're learning it. You need to stop worrying and just keep going the course. Well, at the end of the year, we gave them the plan test, which is an ACT norm test. And in my district, they take one at the end of 8th grade, and then they take one at the end of 9th grade. The 8th grade equivalent, and it's escaping me right now. And my students ended up growing 1.8 years in 1 year. And I was so proud and so excited. And so I just wanted to share with you that it is scary to kind of switch what you're doing, but I think you're going to love it. And so what we will do, I don't know why these went away. There we go. So what we're going to do is take a look at a couple of the things that I've done that have really, really helped speed up and move through some of these things that I needed to do. So the first thing that I did was I got a really good universal way of naming my files. So I would love to hear from you in the chat box. Do you name your files in a certain way? So for example, I always, and you'll see this in my Edmodo, I'll put it up here. I have A2 because I taught so many different preps. I taught Algebra 1, I taught Algebra 2, and I taught geometry. And then sometimes I taught like a resource room math as well. So at one time I had at most 4 different preps. I have been working, one of our newest members, Victoria, just emailed me and she has 5 preps. I can't imagine having 4 stretched me pretty thin. So I always name them the same way. So I would love to show you. Let's see if it'll let me. I don't know where my little menu bar down here went, and I feel like I'm just missing something. But what I did when I named my files is I called anything with Algebra 1 started A1. Anything Algebra 2 started A2. Anything geometry was just G. And this allowed me to be able to search anywhere. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have files in so many places. So I'm curious, where do you keep your files? Are your files in Google Drive? I have files there. And then I also had a shared drive at school that we were all supposed to be using before we moved over to the Google Drive. But then I also had my hard drive, and it got to be really crazy because I was always, sorry, pardon me. There we go. I was always looking for files in all of these different places. Yay, Tracy got in. So what I found is if I named them all the same, and then what I did is I would call them unit, so like unit 1, unit 2, because I had a list on my wall of what unit 1 was. So unit 1, linear equations, unit 8 was exponents, in geometry, unit 3 was similarity. I've still got them memorized. But what I could do is then when I go into any file, I could find it. So what I did, just so we could play with some of this stuff. So I've got my unit 1, unit 8. There we are. I've got double screens here, so things move on me. So what I did is Algebra 1, Unit 8, the 3 folders that I always had was tried and true. So what I did is I added these folders, and underneath, it was crazy. I'll show you. I pulled up an old file. It's kind of embarrassing even to show. But this is what they used to look like. And I would just have all these folders. This was just supposed to be Unit 8 exponentials, and it's got all of these crazy things. And so this is an old file that I just pulled up. But now what I do is I have my tried and true. So if I have actually taught something and it worked well, okay, I might... I saved it without answers so I could give it to my students. So my investigation, this is one of the ones that I really liked. And so I would put it right into the tried and true. Now I know exactly next year when I walk in, I've got it tried and true. I also have that want to try. Don't you find stuff online and you go and you save it and you want to save it online. You want to save it in a folder. This is my want to try. And then if you've ever tried something, you're like, this would have been so great if only. Okay, and we got that if only this was changed, if only this fit what my students did in 8th grade, because all of our classrooms are different. So if only, and this allows us to fix something. These 3 folders I started putting as I tried them into here. If they were left here at the end of the year, I got rid of them, which sounds scary because I know some of you have like 8,000 files. So what I did is I took these that were all left over and they all got ditched at the end of the year. Everything went into one of these so that I knew exactly where I was at and I could start up again. So the biggest thing with naming your files is you've got to be able to search, and everything nowadays has a search button at the top. When I started teaching, that was not true. So when I take a look up here, you can always search up here. Now that I've got them named correctly, I can take a look in my A1, it'll pop up. Now mine are all in Google Drive, so they're not going to pop up there in that empty Unit 8 folder. But now that I know how to name them, I'm all set. A lot of tools that you are going to use to share things with students do not have subfolders. So naming things really, really well will save you a ton of time. And what I had to do when I started this is I put a sticky note next to the computer in any computer I worked in. So I recopied that sticky note, and that sticky note had my naming structure. Now it's in my memory because I had it for 4 years. But when I started, I really had to use that every single time and make sure I named them the same. That way, those search buttons that are in all of these different tools were so powerful. Now, the 3 folders, we talked about this already. We've got them tried and true, what we want to try, and what we need to fix. That way, if you've got your to-do list and you're like, let's go fix up just those files for next year, you're not looking through every single file. You're saving so much time because you just placed it in there when you got done. Now, this is where I think it gets really fun because we are going to talk about sharing files with students and parents. And so let me just check over the chat box here because I haven't gotten to take a look for a minute. Okay. By school year and by course, Tara said. Then it's really great you keep them by course. That's wonderful. And they're on your work computer. Now, Tara, the one question I would have or caution you is, are they ever, do they ever go in and re-ghost your computers? I had that happen to me one Christmas break. And they went in and they re-ghosted my computer and I lost a lot of my files. And that's when I started being a big Google Drive fan. Okay, so I like the way Jay said, Jay Mirza, I file by the Common Core standard, which is such a great way to do it. So whatever your standard is for filing, I'm making sure it's always the same. So I file by topic heading on the school server. And then, yes, and Dana added, and also by course. These are great ways to file things so that you can keep it organized. So however you're going to file it, just make sure it's the same. That way, no matter what device or where it sounds like you guys are a little bit more organized than I was when I started. Now I'm much better now. Everything has a place and I know where everything is. But when I started, my files were a train wreck. I had to show you that old file I found. I saved a couple of them. And I'm so glad I did, just to show you what a crazy mess it was. Sorry, just need a quick sip of water. So now we're going to talk about sharing files with students and parents and just the amazing amount of communication that can go on so easily. My favorite new website is free, and it's called Start Me. Let's go ahead and there we go. This is called start.me. And what this is a homepage for your students or for yourself. You can create more than one. And so, oh, Tara, I'm sorry, that distracted me, but because I'm so glad to hear you back them up. And you have, you've got Canvas, which is a great one to use as well. So Start Me is an easy to use homepage that you can customize. Now, I've seen teachers use this where they have this set like on every laptop that they use, or every, in the school library, they've got all the resources listed and they're right here. You're going to notice on this example, they've got things like notes, like upcoming holidays, things that are important. You could put a Facebook timeline, probably not at school. Some of the tools you're using, education news, schedule changes, all that kind of thing. So what I did is I created a sample one that we could play with, and I'll show you how it works. So let's go over. Here's a Start Me page, and you'll see it just says start.me. And if you didn't catch this link, I did put it on the sheet that I'm going to send you in just a little bit. And I absolutely love Start Me. When I first started, I thought, well, I'm not sure, is this a good place or not? But my kids they could set it as their homepage. And you do that on Google by going into your settings, and it's similar on the other browser. But when you go into your settings, you can just set that as every time they open a page, this is what they get. And so what you can do here is put any sort of links all in one spot. So I have one actually for myself that I use just for my website, and it's got every tool that I use, every website I go to. When I email you, I go here and get the link to email you. So I have one for my students, and then I just created this one that we could all share. I made this one a public one, so just because you have the link, you'll be able to go there. And this is really handy. If you hover underneath, you can hit a plus sign. And the big picture is they have these widgets. And these widgets allow you to share with your students. So it could just be a list of bookmarks, can be email, so make it easy for them to email to you. Could be calendar, sports schedules, notes, even the weather, which according some of you had snow days. So, oh, Julie, you're just saying that to make me feel better. She said her files are a mess. I feel like I'm starting all over. I get it. That's where I was. So know that it's doable. Okay. So, and then this embed, which is really great. And I've been talking to a couple of teachers who need to be able to show videos, but they don't want to obviously send their students to YouTube where there's all the ads on the side and all the distractions. So I put an example over here of how to embed a web page. And what this does is it allows you to put the video in here. And I believe my computer is muted. I hope we don't need to hear my voice twice, but it shows the video right in the page. So let's say you found a tutorial that works well, then you could just put it right in here. So a couple people didn't realize we could do this, and I've been emailing a couple, so I thought I would go through how to do this real quick. So if we're going to add, I just hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. When you go through all this, you'll see all of these, but if I want to hit that plus sign, all I have to do is hit embed page, and it'll put it anywhere. You can always rearrange these. You get the hand, and it lets you change the order, which is nice for your students. So if I go up to YouTube and I hit that share button, it will give me, it defaults to this share like this. If you put this link in, it will actually take them to YouTube and show them all this miss. Okay, and my kiddos used to love to sing, so I still get these things that pop up on the side. They're a little bit, my youngest is now 6, so yeah. So, but what you're going to want to do is go to embed. Now, I don't know about you, but I had the very unfortunate situation where I was showing a YouTube video to show a bridge collapsing because we were talking, somebody missed a decimal place in Michigan and a highway wasn't built right and they had to take it down and rebuild it. So I was showing them a video, and I had that unfortunate situation at the end where the suggested posts at the end were of a lady doing a yoga pose as a bridge. And I jumped in front of it, which just put the really graphic picture on my back. It was a very unfortunate situation. So if you hit the share more under the embed and you go down here and it says show suggested videos when the video finishes, and you uncheck that, you no longer have to worry about that. And so now you just go ahead and copy. And we can go right back in here and just paste it. So Control V, and it looks like all that gibberish, but now it puts the video in there. Kids can watch it right here, and they don't get any of the distractions around the edge. And it's just a nice way to kind of keep them safe and on task. So I'm just seeing how far behind the video is here. Oh, so Dawn's in the same situation here. Yeah, Margaret, writing down, that changed everything for me because I kept deciding on a naming structure, and then I kept changing my mind, as we do. And yeah, stole your words right out of your mouth. And then next thing you know, I was back. It's like I did all this work, and really it was for nothing. So now a couple other things that are good about Start Me is that you can share it. Okay, so if you type that link in, you have all of this accessible to you. So if I wanted to share with you the Unit 8 exponents, so let's say, for example, we go, I see a lot of our members here. So if I go in, let's say into Unit 8 and you wanted to share with them, I picked the card sort activity. So if I go ahead and open that, you've got the card sort activity. They cut it out, they match them up. And if you're anything like me, maybe you send that home for homework. And of course, you get 3 emails. Can you email me that document? I lost it again. And so if I go up here and I can just go ahead and add a bookmark, and I just paste it in here. And I just hit add. And now I've got it in there. When I'm done editing, I just hit the check mark. Because why that check mark, that edit right here, I can actually rename this. So instead of the title being that long URL, it could be, Monday's homework. And now I've got it all in one place. So now the students have it and they are all set for Monday's homework. Does anybody think that they might use Start Me in their classroom to be able to share the documents? What I noticed is my students like it, but the parents liked it more than the students because they always knew what was going on. This calendar function here, I think I'm going to connect this to my Google Calendar. Add a calendar, I can connect it to my Google Calendar from school, and it will automatically populate all the assignments that I've already typed in there. So you can even choose, I organize my calendars by class because I have a lot of preps. This year I have 2, so it's not as bad. But that way, the geometry, like if I make one of these for geometry, it would only show the geometry assignments. And then if I make one for algebra, it'll show all the algebra assignments and they're all in one spot. And my parents have really liked this quite a bit as far as keeping it all straight. So let's go back here. And that's Start Me. I think that's a fabulous way to share with your parents and share with your students because it keeps them on the site. Now, the second way that I like to share is our school used Edmodo. So I'm more versed in Edmodo and for sharing with our students. Edmodo allows for the same embedding feature as does Schoology. I think Schoology is fabulous for secondary classrooms. And what these are like social media that are protected and safe for students. So Edmodo is set up to look a lot like Facebook. So if I hit home, okay, so Wikispace is a nice one too. And Canvas is great. I've seen both of those. Uh-oh, Tara lost the video. I'm wondering, is that on my end? So Jay, what do you mean? You switched from Edmodo to what? So did everyone lose video? Poor Tara, we just lost her. Oh, good. Tara made it back. I worry about you guys falling off here. I worry about my internet because we've got kind of a snowstorm here. Okay, so Julie, thank you so much for replying right away. So what Edmodo is a great, they call it a learning management system. So Schoology is the same kind of idea. And Edmodo, it comes up just like posts here. So I'm connected with a lot of different teachers and a lot of different groups because I like to see what's going on. Brian Marks, you might be familiar with him. He is one of the creators of Yummy Math. So much respect. They make such great things. And so I apologize if you can hear my kiddos in the background. They've had a snow day today. And it's been -5. So they can't really be outside a whole lot. And they're getting a little rambunctious. I can hear my husband hushing them out there. But this runs a lot like a Facebook page, and it does a lot of great things. And not appropriate all for this webinar. This Edmodo could be a whole webinar. But when you're talking about your files in the library, you're going to see how I named all my my stuff. We were on trimesters for a while. And so I also have a unit 0, but you'll see that I named them all the same so that no matter what system I'm in, I know how to search for things. So if I'm in my unit 6, I can just go ahead and search for my unit 6, and it allows me to find it real quick. Now, if you do use Edmodo, oh boy, so everybody's a little fuzzy. I wonder why that is. I'm using 2 different screens because my screen on my computer was going bad. So I'm wondering if it's playing on this. You have to hit this. So if, oh, good call. Okay, Tara, you are so good. So if we go in here to get organized, what Tara's talking about, right here, if you hit the setting, you can change that quality to the HD, and I am recording in HD, and so that should help clear up your video. And that makes a big difference for you, and that will probably fix it right up for you. I'm glad you guys asked. Wow, 29 degrees this morning, Margaret. That's like a heat wave around here up in Michigan. It's been so cold. And Jake, 10 years in Alaska is fabulous. I love hearing that stuff. So when you're in Edmodo, this was another way that your parents can see these files if you share them with them. But the naming of them is so super important. Now, Edmodo, since I started organizing it, does do sub folders, and that is a huge improvement on their part there. For Schoology has the same. I'll go back to the home screen. Schoology is more detailed. A lot of people think it's for the secondary student because they've got so many classes that it's easier to follow. But you can go back into your resources again, and you can take a look at those. Mine is not set up as well. I learned it just to help a couple folks out, but I haven't used it with my students because our school did use Edmodo. Nice. I'm glad you can see better, Dawn. That's wonderful. Okay, so let's go back to our slideshow and make sure I'm staying on track here. It's already 8:35. Then the online bookmarks. Online bookmarks, it's kind of one of those things most people know about, but if you don't, you're like, how did I not know that? This button right here will allow you to bookmark your stuff. And if it's important, now, where did it go? Because I said I wanted it in my bookmarks bar. Well, what it did is it went down here way to the bottom. So whatever's most important, you can move these around at any time. This is our bookmarks bar. Now, if you can't see the bookmarks bar, you just go into settings to bookmarks, and then it's just that little check mark right there. So it's real easy to overlook. But that bookmarks bar, when I'm looking for new resources, sometimes I'll bookmark 3 or 4 of them and then decide which one I really like the best, and then only keep the best one. So we've got our, if you can't see these here, that's what happened. Now, my favorite resource, a lot of people know that this is my favorite resource, is Livebinders. So before I go there, I just want to make sure that I take a look. Okay, great. So Dawn and Julie can see better now. And Tara, thank you for saving the day again. What I will do is for the next webinar, we're going to have another one in 2 weeks. And I will make sure I put that in the very beginning so no one has to look at a fuzzy screen all day, because that just doesn't sound very fun. My very favorite resource for tonight is Livebinders. Let me show you what my Livebinders look like. So if we go into, for example, Unit 3, which is modeling linear, I have all of these great resources. I changed my links there. Sorry about that. I've got all these great resources for linear equations. And I was able to, again, Yummy Math, you'll see a lot of stuff from them. I love how engaging their lessons are. I think they're wonderful. And you'll see all these great resources for my Livebinders. Well, if I were to go into this, let's say I wanted to add this to my Livebinders, I could do that. And this is so nice. When I started organizing all my files, this is what I had to do because I couldn't keep track of everything that we were trying to organize. I felt like I had all these resources, but they were everywhere. And so there's this little button called Livebinder It. And if I click that, it'll just ask me what live binder do I want it in, an existing binder or a new binder. So this is a Unit 8, Exponential Functions and Equations. And if there's a sub-tab, I can put that in there. So what I'm doing right now is I'm in the process of organizing these live binders because they do subcategories, which is absolutely fabulous. So I've organized it not only by unit, but now I've organized about half of them by week as well. And then I'm going through and updating all the links because so many of the resources I used, Discovery, not Discovery Ed, the PBS changed all their links, and a couple of the other big sites that had some really good interactive lessons changed their links. So I have them correct on the members area, but I do not have them all corrected yet in the live binders. So now all I have to do is hit add to binder. And it just takes a couple seconds because what they're doing is verifying that this isn't full of any viruses before they'll put it into the binder. And now it's in the binder. So I can go ahead and look at this binder and we'll be able to see that resource right in there. So we're in the Unit 8 and it's got it right here. And we're able to see the resource right here in Unit 8. So Livebinders allows me to organize it really well. You get up to 10 Livebinders for free. I started using Livebinders before they had that. That's why you'll see I've got so many. But you're allowed to do 10 Livebinders for free. And then they now have not only tabs, but sub-tabs going 2 or even 3 deep. So you can really organize this now. So if I have Unit 8, let's see if we can find one of the ones where I've already organized it. I've kind of gone out of order. Unit 12. I'm looking for my Unit 2. And when I share these with you, they're kind of in a, so when you look at Unit 1, I've got my remediation because we know that we have students that aren't ready for Unit 1. I also have my week 1, and then underneath week 1, I have all of these other categories. The nice thing is you can go ahead and you can rename these, you can order them, you can move them back and forth. So I've got my Unit 2, all the different activities that I saved for that, Unit week 3, and all my activities, and week 4, all my activities. So it really helps to keep everything really nice and organized for all those online things. So when you're finding stuff online, yes, Dawn, great question. I'm so glad you asked. I share these with you, and I've also created ones and that I don't share with my audience because they're more just for my my students and my parents. But I've also done, because my school district hasn't had books for about 5 years now, parents are getting really upset they didn't know how to help their students. So what I did is I created one massive live binder, and these tabs were the units. And then I had like YouTube videos that were helpful, or sometimes I just create a quick video on the iPad and I put those in there, or like worksheets, and then I would put just like 3 or 4 worked out answers so that the parents had those examples to go back to, because a lot of parents still wanted to be able to help their kids. And so as long as you want, there's this little share button right here. You can even embed this. So I could take my embed, my binder icon, or my open binder, that might be more fun. and put this in here. So let's see. I keep wanting to hit that plus sign. So if we embed it, Control V. Oh, it says it's not secure. So it doesn't like the Livebinders link for whatever reason. So let's see if we can do it. We'll go ahead and delete that one. It always makes you confirm before you delete. And let's see if we can embed. Sorry, just taking a look real quick. There it is. Just the icon. And that's usually what I use on the website, Algebra and Teachers, is just that little icon. So let's see if that, and then it gives you the little icon. So you could put a couple of those right in there so that the parents and the students could be able to access then that anytime. But yeah, you can share those links. You can share Livebinders at any time with your students just by going to that little share button. And you can share it on all of these places, you know, but even if you just want the link. And it lets you get more specific as well, which is really nice. Yeah, so they can absolutely access those at home. So if you go to Livebinders, this is free sign up. And then if you did want to get like really crazy or be able to, you know, create a lot of them for your students in your school, they do have education pricing, which is like only a couple dollars. But really, I've been able to do everything with my Livebinders, and I've never paid for the upgrade. They've just been so flexible with everything that I haven't really needed that at all. So I just want to make sure I'm not skipping anything here. So if you did want to learn more about some of those files, there's definitely that membership there. And then to do these things now to get organized. So if you're one of those people like, I am not organized, I'm not sure, the number one thing I would tell you to do is pick your naming structure, put it on those sticky notes, and put it on every monitor you ever look at. Okay, so create those that however you're going to name it so that it stays super, super consistent, because that's going to be fabulous. Then I would love for you to create 3 folders so that when you try something and it's wonderful, you save it. Because if you're anything like me, you have files everywhere and you don't know what's good and what's not. And so what happens is I used to waste a ton of time by just trying to go through all of those files, figuring out where's that one that I loved from last year. And so naming them really well, or renaming them, you know, right click right on the name and you can rename those so that you get them set up the way you want. Get those 3 folders set up so you have your tried and true, the ones you just want to fix something quick on, and then the ones that you want to try, you're just not sure yet. Find somewhere to share all your links with your parents and your students. I think you're going to notice that parents, when you start sharing with them, they just appreciate your effort there. So whether you want Livebinders, whether you like Start Me, I like the visual part of Start Me, but Livebinders for me, when I'm searching the internet to be able to hit that Livebinder button, I was going to show you that one last thing. I almost forgot. On Livebinders, what I did on the document that I have for you guys, I do have the link to this. So let me just grab it. And within Livebinders, I put this link right on the document I was going to share with you. I always get asked, well, how do you get this button right here? Oh, I put it in the, I know better. Oh, what did I? Oh, it's got the, there we go. And you go to livebinders.com/welcome/bookmark, which I'll give to you. all you do to get this button that lets you live binder stuff as you're browsing and looking online is you just click this and drag it wherever you want it up in this bookmark bar. And that's it. And if you forget, you know, because I know I'm talking pretty quick and there's a lot going on in here. If you forget, all you need to do, they've got a little video here. So I'll make sure that you get this link right at the end here for yourself so you can have that up there. Now, to get rid of a bookmark that you want to get rid of, you just right click on it and hit delete. Because if you're like me, this can get kind of crazy with a ton of stuff going on. And so choose your way to communicate. If you do those three things, pick your naming structure, create your 3 folders, and pick your way to communicate, you're going to feel so much better. And then once you set these up, it is okay to make a student do that work for you. So don't ever feel like you can't delegate that out. Julie, nice question. Google Docs does not have the visual feel of putting everything in the same spot. So not that I'm aware of. You know, everything gets updated so very often with the Start Me. Can you embed things within Google Docs? Absolutely. Could you create a Google Doc with all the stuff that, and then just share the Google Doc link? You could try it. I don't know. I mean, I know you could put, you know, I guess I don't know for sure. I believe you can put the videos in there, and you could definitely put a list of links in a Google Doc. And I've done that before. It just wouldn't have this visual look of them being able to just open a page. And yeah, I've got to think that through. I'm not sure how well it embeds. I believe it does, though. And maybe somebody else could chime in as well. Tara, I love Trello. That's what I use for all my website stuff, especially keeping track of moving things out. So Julie, if your school is pushing the Google Docs for communication with students and parents, I would definitely look into that, and I'm happy to look into it for you. I would love to be able to see, you know, let's see. Wonder how. I closed all my email because I was worried it would ching if I got an email, even though I've got it muted. I still get a little paranoid about us being interrupted. So what I'm doing is just going to open that up. Let's take a look. And we've got yeah, because that would be great. If your school's pushing something, you know, with how much pressure there is with evaluations right now. But, you know, you could do it. It wouldn't be as easy. So here's a Google Doc. What I'm wondering about is if I take that embed code, will it? And I don't believe it will. I just wanted to make sure. So it won't allow you to put the embed code, but it will allow you to put the link. So just because I'm curious, I'm just going to hurry here. Because I know if you're using, yeah, and it just links back to YouTube. It doesn't embed in it. If you use Google Docs, though, to create a Google, like a site, a website, Google Sites, it will embed in there, Julie. So that might be an option for you if your school is really pushing that you use only that. Use only Google Drive to communicate with your parents. That can be a tough place to be in. Yeah, Tracy, the Google Apps for Education is really nice too. Yeah, the Google Classroom, my school keeps saying they're going to get it, and they haven't. And I would love to play with it. It looks really fabulous, Tracy. I'm wondering, would that embed, would they have like a page like the Start Me that's nice and visual? That would be fabulous. I think that would really work nice. Now I have built a couple websites on Google Sites, and that was pretty easy. And I did that with students, with a group of students that had to do a project. I helped them out with that, and they did really well with that and made them look very classy. And it was very easy. It was drag and drop, and pretty straightforward. The menus were a little tricky for some of the students, but other than that, they did really a nice job. And if you created it all on one page, it would probably be really nice if your teachers really want you to get into that. So let's go ahead and move on. I don't want to keep you too much longer, because I know if you have to get up in the morning, I don't want to keep you late. So what I would say is, don't open every single file. Some of you are talking, your files are a mess. What I did is I took all my files, and as I used them, I moved them into those 3 folders. At the end of the year, I knew what was left. And then I could see what was left, and I knew what I didn't use. And if I had doubts, I could look through them, but I would not in the middle of January, when you are going through snow days and crazy, and the kids are coming off the sugar of, chocolate Santas. You don't need to be going through every file. Don't start from scratch. Take a look at what other teachers have done. If you go into Livebinders, you can go in those and copy those for yourself, and then just delete a couple things that you don't want. You can go into a Start Me. If you set up an account, right here under this welcome, it'll say copy page. You'll be able to copy this page, and then you could just add to it what you wanted. So you probably don't want this one, but Start Me, the educators are encouraged to share. And so you could search for other algebra teachers or things going on. Like I like to have my graphing stuff on here so that they can go into Desmos. And I did add here, just in case you wanted to, if you like Desmos, there's that tutorial on that as well. And then don't bookmark everything. I know it's so hard when you're finding good stuff, but you'll get really overwhelmed and you'll end up with a Google search in all of your documents, which was what I was doing. That's one of the things I did wrong, like really, really wrong. And so don't bookmark everything. You'll drive yourself crazy. So do it piece by piece, day by day. And by the end, you'll notice that everything is organized and you'll be ready to move on. So I would love to, where we got a step behind. So I would encourage you just to go piece by piece. So, Julie, for the Google Classroom, yeah, hopefully Tracy, it looked like, gave you some good ideas. And then, Julie, I know you're a member, and so I have some ways to use to put the math formulas in some of these places. So in your Google Docs and so forth, there are some apps and things that will make it easier to do the math in your Google Docs. And so I can send you those later on, because I don't have time to look them up right this second, but I know that we've got those for you. And if you were considering being a member today, we do, I would certainly invite you to do that, because our prices are going up tomorrow. We've been planning for them to go up in January. And when you click that red link, you'll be able to see this closer, because I know this is quite small here, but we've got our lesson plans and assessments and other trainings. Every training, once it's placed within the membership area, comes with a certificate, because I know with the Danielson model and all the different evaluations, it can be, those certificates and professional development can really help you out. And so we will be adding lots of great stuff as well. Every month we do a new webinar, but December, I had a horrible case of laryngitis, so I'm doing this one now, and we'll do another one in 2 weeks. And then, we've got all of the units broke down for you with the lesson plans for you, and the courses are broke down like this. So you just click the little down arrow, you've got all of your lessons there. And if you would like to learn more, just please feel free to go ahead and click that red button right below. We would love for you to join us. And last but not least, feel like I'm rushing here. It's 8:58, and I promised myself that I would make sure that you are done by 8 o'clock. But I would love for you to go ahead, and this is the shortened link. But what I'm going to do is just go ahead and it's going to be difficult. Let's go ahead and copy that for you and make sure you get your link here. There we are. Control C. I'm going to put that right in here for you. Really hope this was helpful. It's really hard getting organized. I think if you take those 3 steps and you take a little bit back, it'll really save you a lot of time in the long run, which would make me so happy to know that you're getting a little bit of time back. So let's see here. Great. I'm just taking a look to make sure I didn't miss anything in the forums. Yeah, Tracy, it does take a lot more time. I'm not sure. Have you seen, there's a resource, and I'm going to have to look it up. I have it on the blog post that says how to put math symbols anywhere. But there's a place where you can like handwrite with your mouse a symbol. And then at the, like, let's say it's 2 pi over 3, and then it'll convert it to the math text you need to put into documents so that it will look correctly for your students. And that's been really, really helpful for me as I put things on social media, you know, even like the symbol pi or that kind of thing. The other shortcut for putting some stuff, yeah, is the Alt key. If you hold down Alt, let's see if I can remember a couple of them. Tracy, let me see if I can find that link in just 1 minute. But also, if you hold down Alt, like if I want the pi button, because I'm big, it's like I hold down the Alt and you do 227. And when I pick up my Alt key, I've got a pi symbol. So if I do Alt, I think it's 012. Nope. There. So there's all sorts of symbols depending. I'm just putting the numbers now. So, but there's all sorts of mathematical symbols that will show up depending on the font. It'll determine how well they look. And that's another way to do it. Let's see if we can find that real quick for you. If you're ever, there we go. So if I go to the end and I hit tab, now I can search my whole website. So I'll put math symbols. And it'll search the blog for math symbols. And there it is. How to put math and science symbols almost anywhere. I'll put this in our chat box as well. But that has like Alt 227. This is kind of a nice one. There's the equations for Google Docs, which is it's been improved on so much since LaTeX is what it's called, and it will usually, I can't remember which one it was. Let's see. This one. Oh, and they've taken it down. I was wondering. Okay, so I will take a look and see if I can find that. But this from Vision Objects, it's pretty awesome. And that's the one that allows you to handwrite it in my script. And if you haven't seen the My Script calculator, that will do it as well. It will put it into the math. So the My Script calculator, let's see, is an app on your phone. My students absolutely loved it. I had a love-hate relationship with it because then students didn't have to learn how to type it in, which we all know is important that they learn that as well. Well, oh, that's the CNET one. So I don't want to waste your time, but if you're interested, what I will do is update that link. But this My Script calculator, let's take a look real quick. I think you'll be really impressed. You, when you, let's see if it'll go. So when you play this one, they can handwrite it. And I'm going to pause just for a minute. It converts it like this. But if you hit the share button, you do have to get the paid version, which I believe was $2.99. It will give you the latex that you can then copy and paste into like Edmodo. It would work. You can put it in Edmodo. What you have to do, I'll show you real quick. What you have to do is you have to have the square brackets, math, those symbols, and then you would put your latex, whatever that is, right in here. And then you have to do a closed math. So on the outside, so you'd put your equation that you'd copy and paste right here. And then it should show up and look correctly so that your students don't get confused about what you're looking for. And so that's really, really helpful. Does anybody have any other questions? What are you thinking? Are you a little overwhelmed? I hope this was helpful. Getting a little dry by the end here. It's been really fun hanging out with everybody. I like seeing all of your ideas. And if you do want to join us, please hop on today because the prices are going up tonight. I've got that scheduled. If you looked at it a couple days ago, they accidentally were showing. So I apologize about that. Feel free to take a look today because we would love to have you on the inside. And then, Julie, I will take a look a little bit more and see about the math. And maybe Tracy, if you guys wanted to see a little bit about that, just drop me a line. And you guys can always drop me an email just by clicking my email address right here. So when you click that, it'll take you right to the email, or you can copy it by right clicking on it, or you can click on that and it'll take you right to emailing me. Okay, so you can always reach me real quick just by clicking on my email address. Yeah, Dawn, you need to play because that's how you're going to learn it, just like the kids. They can't just watch you do the math. They got to go do it. So I hope you guys have a great, great evening. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, Julie, I totally get it. My best piece of advice would be start with only one thing. And so I agree with Margaret. I would start with just putting your sticky notes on every computer and start naming everything accordingly, because then you will have a sense of what you have and what you still need. It really will make a big difference for you. And then when you're ready, after you kind of get a feel for that, then try something else. Well, thank you very much, Tracy. I'm so glad you were able to get in and see everything. I'm glad it worked out well for you. It was so nice to have everybody on the chat. I'm really enjoying how much you guys participate. It makes it so much more fun to do these. So we'll have another one in 2 weeks. And then that one, just forgot the topic. It is more of a brain research one. So here we are. January, helping students feel confident in higher mathematics. So we're going to talk about some of that brain research and layering things that we're going to have. So I will let you know when that gets scheduled. It's around my kiddos' schedule in the evenings. And yeah, I'm excited to see you then. You guys have a great night. Let me know. Drop me an email if you need anything. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you would just like to see something more specific, please let me know. I don't mind creating a video, but I just wanted to give you an overview so you could see what was out there right now. Jay, yeah, I don't know. You know, we'd love to have you in the forums and I'd love to have you as a member, but I don't know with the pre-algebra, if it would be appropriate or not. Maybe with the gifted and talented, maybe you and I could talk, one-on-one and take a look on the inside and see if it would work for your students. I wouldn't want you to sign up if it's not going to be appropriate for your kiddos. Definitely. I totally understand that. I'm glad it was valuable, though, to you. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.